Well, the Caste Census Commission in Karnataka has recommended increasing the reservation quota for OBCs from the current 32% to 51% for education and employment in the state. News9 has exclusive access to this very report, and if implemented, ladies and gentlemen, if this is implemented, then of course this is going to cross that barrier of 50%. We're talking about, as per this, if the recommendations are implemented, this would raise the total reservation in the state to 85%, including 10% for the economically weaker sections and 24% for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. Now, data suggests that Muslims make up the single largest community in the state of Karnataka. Let's take a look at a detailed look at the recommendations by the Caste Census Commission, because what they are recommending is doubling the reservation for Muslims from 4% to 8%. This is under category 2B. There's going to be breaking of the 50% reservation ceiling, increasing reservation quota from OBCs from 32% to now 51%. And of course, the creamy layer in backward classes can be accommodated in the general category. Another recommendation talks about no change in the reservation for SC/ST. The status quo will remain at 24% reservation. But at the same time, let's also take a look at the caste census breakup at large as well. Muslim population is pegged at 18.08%. This is a jump of nearly 6% if you're talking about the 2011 census data. Muslims are the biggest group amongst the other backward classes, and the OBCs constituting about 70%, specifically 69.60%, with a population of 75.25 lakh in the state of Karnataka. The SC/STs are still pegged at 25% with a population of 1.52 crore people. The backward classes, ladies and gentlemen, is 69.60%. And the Commission has also advised the Siddaramaiah-led Congress government to implement horizontal reservation policies within the employment quotas. Horizontal reservation provides quotas for categories like women, persons with disabilities, and like across all vertical reservation groups such as SC, ST, and OBC. Now, the report has to be officially released after a special cabinet meeting convened by the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah on the 17th of this month, ladies and gentlemen. But what we're looking about taking a look at is that in a major development that could reshape Karnataka's reservation landscape, the state's Caste Census Commission has recommended increasing the quota for other backward classes, all from the current 32% to 51% for education and employment. Joining me here on the broadcast is Professor Chambi Puranik, political analyst. Also with us is Ramesh Sethuraman, senior journalist, and my colleague Gautam Shankar is also soon going to be with us. I'm going to quickly get the ball rolling here because there's lots to talk about. Mr. Puranik, I was listening to your own answers given on another news channel. Let's not name that for this particular moment. But the caste census, it was initiated by the Congress government, Professor Puranik, but the findings are now in the public domain. And there's a little bit of a difference when you're talking about that. Do you believe these recommendations by the Caste Census Commission, especially breaking the 50% barrier, are politically motivated, or are we talking about social reforms at large, actually?
Good morning, Kabir, and good morning to all of your News9 channel viewers. My only submission is that we should go by the ground realities and also the methodology that is adopted to make survey. This is not census. It's only a census. Census, it's only a survey. Census is done by central government. No other authority can call it. But it is a survey where they have taken into consideration social, economic, and educational backwardness and all that. But the very fact that Mr. Kantraju, who was the chairman, and then Mr. Jay Prakash Gide, they have looked into all this. Whatever the available data that is there, Mr. Kantraj's one important statement you should observe. It has come in newspapers today also. I think you will have that also. So that means what he said, the claim of the dominant or major communities like Lingayat, Vakkaligas, and others, that claim we have not looked into it because we are not aware of that. We have only gone with whatever the kind of survey we were made to ask and do that also. So that means to say, out of 7.5 crores people of Karnataka today, the report, it is more than 10 years old. So one thing that is there is a geometrical progress or increase in population. That I think is a very important factor that you should consider. Second thing is the so-called dominant communities, the major communities, Lingat, Vokkaligas, they have so many subcastes, and those subcastes have been isolated or categorized under different kind of backward. That's why the numbering, the opening number of 70 to 75% of backward people, and then the 18% of SC STs. That means to say the general category will be only 12 to 15%. This on the face of it itself, I'm not saying that what they have done is wrong. What they have done is the methodology point of view, because the statistical errors should not be more than 3 to 5% in any kind of research that we do. But more than research, the commission has gone into all aspects. But the major complaint is one, Dwarkanath saying that we are not bothered or aware of the claim of the major communities. One, that's a very important observation. It is not escapist, but it says that there is scope for kind of controversy or kind of review and all that. So that's one. Second thing is the very fact that Lingayats and Vokkaligas who are having that kind of majority, 19 to 13% of Vokkaligas, 19%, now they are reduced to small minor groups. So that means to say there is a definite game changer plan that is there. I don't say that's an hidden agenda, but in order to see that certain whatever rationalizations have to be taken place, that is there. Third thing is Kurbas coming into 1B, that itself is a major jump, because Mr. Siddaramaiah himself belongs to Kurba community. So you can't rule out not only his influence, but the kind of whatever the background that Kurbas have got. They are also forward people. They are touchables. They are also very progressive people. But the kind of review that is there, 70% they have looked into the rural data, and then also urban data is about 25 to 30%. So that means to say there is scope for some kind of fear, suspicion, or the kind of assumption that this report is done in a hurry. So any hurried feast or any feast cooked in a hurry, and that will, whatever may be the beautiful contents, but that will spoil the broth.
I'll tell you what, Professor, I'll tell you what. The last time I was watching your show, it was essentially about why there's so much of a delay in this progress report and this caste census report, if anything at all. But you're right, this does open quite a few doors for controversies on various levels. Mr. Sethuraman, I'm going to come to you next. Let's address the elephant in the room. The biggest jump seems to be that of the Muslims. I do want to talk about how Congress has taken ownership of this exercise. Will pushing the 85% reservation envelope be a little bit too much for the Karnataka government over there? But there's a clear jump in the Muslim population and their share in the OBCs. Will this fuel narratives about, appeasement, political appeasement, or this is actual secular corrective, measures that are being done?
Okay. So whoever is calling themselves secular, first and foremost, they keep on saying that, we will eliminate caste, we will bring in equality and everything, right? But my question here, in that case, is what kind of good it is going to do from the caste census perspective. And let me ask you for a political question. So last time, let's say when they did census, and then they found out a particular caste to be at 8% of the total population in a state or the country, right? And then later, this, after 15 years gap, they come back and see that, they have reduced by 1%. Or after 20 years, they come back and see that their population of that specific community. So will they go back and reduce that reservation? And if that reservation percentage has been reduced, what will be the political impact? I'm just categorically calling it out, right? Political impact of it and how that vote bank would react. So that is point number one. And second most important thing that we are talking about is, we talk about the meritocracy and various other things. And here also, of course, the recommendation, they are saying that, we have to give 10% to the economically weaker section. I'm pretty surprised. In states like Tamil Nadu, they say that, you cannot enforce this economically weaker section, kind of a narrative. We have to only go by the caste and stuff. And as Professor rightly pointed it out, two things. One, every community or the caste have different communities within. How are you going to ensure it has been equally distributed, right? That question will come. And also, if you look at the, let's say something like Chettiars, so there are about 30 different types of Chettiars you would find. and even Brahmins community, you will see so many, right? So
Right.
each community, when we talk about it, there are so many subsects that is there. And the third important point that we need to think about is we are saying that Muslims as OBCs or whatever it is. The first and foremost thing when the conversion happens, whatever, not necessarily Muslims, it could be about any religion, right? It could be Christianity or whatever it is. When the conversion is happening, at that time, what they propagate is that here in our community or in our religion, everybody is treated equally, and they also say that you are not seen as backward, you are not seen as atheist, whatever it is. And on what basis then they are moved to the OBC community is a big question. So is it because if you look at it, the way how we have put the caste also, right? Leave out the Brahmins, but the rest of the communities, typically we say that, they were ruling ones and so many other excuses they give in a political narrative, saying that, based on that only we have also divided the castes and communities, whatever. So in that case, if you look at it, Muslims have ruled us, Christians have ruled us. So why should they be in that case be given, from the so-called caste based, what do you call the differentiation? Instead of that, if you're talking about the religion and instead of giving them, let's say uh, the religion based reservation or whatever it is, that's something I don't think will be easily allowed as such. But separately, I'm saying, right? But my point here is that if you want to set a standard across the board and make sure that everybody gets the equal right. That is why we keep on saying that, remove the caste-based census and remove the caste-based this thing. Rather, go by the economic strata and then go and give them that, okay, if a kid comes from the poor family, no matter what, that kid should be uplifted and should be educated. And in the social aspect, they should be given the
All right.
equal opportunity. Whereas here, they are trying to do this not just for any kind of social good, but they are
But
doing
for
it
that political good,
primarily for their
that's
political
what
gain.
Mr. Siddaramaiah, we completely hear you. But we also have with us Gautam Shankar, my colleague. Gautam, take it away. Help us understand. Walk us through the key statistical takeaways of this commission report. What is it that raised your eyebrow as well?
Yes, I was just listening to our panelists speak as well, Kabir. So, while it is important to have a very reformed socio-economic survey, but we've seen from Telangana and now from Karnataka that caste does play a vital role in these projections. So, let me just take our viewers through the numbers here, basically, to make sense of where each of the prominent politically dominant caste stand off now, according to the census survey that we have here. So the most important one is being that of the Veerasaiva Lingayat community. Now they had picked their population percentage to be around 17 to 18%. That was their claim to being the most politically dominant caste. But now this survey says that their percentage stands at just 11%. And the next most dominant caste is that of the Vokkaliga community, dominant in the southern Karnataka region. They stand at around 10.3%. And the biggest surprise coming in the form of the Muslim community, where the percentage, if we have to talk about that, they constitute nearly about 13% now. So with Veera Sevalingats being at 11, Vokkaligas at 10, and then the Muslim community coming in with 13%, this basically shows that they are the most dominant community. And with Siddaramaiah, we've seen him being projected as this Ahinda leader, the leader of the backward classes, the Dalits, and the minorities. Now, this survey basically helps him hold sway over the community. And what we gather is that with the kind of percentages that we are seeing of 51% reservation being accorded in Karnataka, the most big jump will be for the Muslims that will come in from, they'll see their reservation jump from 4% to 8% under category 2B. And this is not just across the board if we have to look at it. The OBC reservation basically proposes that the caste under 1A will get 6%, 1B 12, 2A 10%, 2B which is the one I spoke about is 8%, 3A is 7%, and 3B 8%. So totally it will go up to 51%. But if we have to include the economically weaker section as well, the total reservation in Karnataka goes up to 85%. Now, I believe this is the highest in India. No other state in India has such a high reservation policy as well. So, if this is implemented, Karnataka will have the highest reservation in terms of jobs and employment as well, Kabir.
85%. Professor Puranik, and of course all the other panelists as well, we're completely running out of time, but I do want to go across the rota one final time. Do keep your answers quick and short. Professor Puranik, how does Karnataka's proposed 85%, of course picking up where Gautam left us, compared to other states like Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, are we seeing a new national reservation template emerge?
No, I don't think you should compare the Karnataka survey or whatever the data with Telangana or Bihar or any other state, because here the question is, it is not only unscientific but also politically motivated. I have no quarrel with Muslims being the largest community. I mean, whatever 14 or 15% or even 13%. Still it has to be verified, but they do have it. But among the Muslims themselves, there is a kind of caste system that is there. Nobody has looked into that also. I don't think Kantaraj committee or Jayaprakash Hegde has looked into it. So it looks like that Kurubas coming to 1A and then the Muslims getting the top post or the slot in the kind of reservations that they are going to implement. This is going to be definitely, kind of landslide structural changes that the Siddaramaiah government is undergoing.
And we know one thing for sure, Professor Puranik, is that Siddaramaiah is a man who's determined. Once he sets out to do something, he does go on and do that.
He may be determined, but there is court of law. The court will definitely look at it, as Gautam said, 85% of reservation beyond whatever the
Supreme Court's cap. That's right. Legal scrutiny is coming their way as well. Legal scrutiny is coming their way. Mr. Siddaramaiah, a final word from you as well. Do you believe that the Congress has the political will to implement something like this, or this is going to be just another data dump without a follow-through?
I'm telling you, end of the day, they will use it only for their political purpose. Otherwise,
appeasement.
If they are trying to implement what they are saying, it is going to be the collapse of the reservation system itself. That's the way I would see it. And most importantly, when we are talking about this entire this thing, so it would start creating a different kind of a turmoil in the political ecosystem. That's the way I see it.
All right. So most of the opinions tilting towards the side of political appeasement rather than social empowerment. Gautam, I'm going to give you the last say. What does this say about the changing caste dynamics of Karnataka as well? And of course, the political spectrum. What do you think is going to happen next?
Absolutely, because keep in mind, so far for decades, we've had the Lingat community from the northern Karnataka region basically calling the shots. We've had a number of chief ministers in the state just because, and also in the cabinet, their representation is always high because it was always considered that this particular community holds sway in terms of population and reservation as well. But now with the current numbers coming out here, it will be interesting to see how the Lingats will be treated as well, and also the prominent Vokkaliga community as well from the southern Karnataka, where we also have Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar a part of this as well. So it will be an interesting shift of caste dynamics. And once these reservations, whether they are implemented or not, it's all about political posturing, as our panelists rightly pointed out. And what it will do is long-term changes we'll see in terms of caste dynamics and the way our governments are formed and the kind of pull that we see during electoral elections as well, Kabir.
The caste matrix and the rejig, the power politics, that's also going to take a change. But it seems like this is being done more for, political appeasement rather than actually socially empowering the one at the bottom of the food chain. On that note, Professor Puranik, Mr. Sethuramam and Gautam, many thanks for joining us and helping us out with what you thought on this News9 exclusive. We've accessed the data of the caste census. Let's see what the cabinet does with this caste census on the 17th of this month. But clearly, the Karnataka Caste Census has opened up a lead of complex and politically sensitive conversations. Whether these recommendations will stand the test of legal scrutiny or become a pivot point for electoral narratives, only time will tell.